Hello and welcome to the Oklahoma State Department of Education 21st Century Community Learning Center's webinar on budgets. My name is Jalen Hartman and I am coordinator for the 21st Century Federal Grant Program. In this webinar we will cover both planning and preparing your budget and creating a new budget. First we will cover how to plan and prepare your budget. Some helpful items to gather before you begin working are your original grant application, which will ensure all items in your budget are in line with your original proposal. Your original grant application is the backbone of your program and should be consulted regularly, especially during times of planning. Using your original grant application will assist you greatly in what your program will need to be aligned with throughout your grant. For grantees in years 2 through 5, your grant cycle closeout report from the previous year will help you to see how much you generally spend in different areas and if there are certain codes that are needed for your program. As you meet and plan with your team, you should create an outline for each year with planned items such as travel to national trainings, special project supplies such as STEM kits, any contracted services you plan to utilize, or any educational field trips that correspond with planned themes of study. All of these planned items will help you to identify each main code you will need, plus assist you in writing your detailed descriptions and to estimate the amounts for each code. If your team hasn't prepared an outline of the coming year, the planning in Step 3 will be time well spent in assisting you in preparing your budget. As you go through the planning and preparing process, you will need the OCAS manual. The OCAS manual is updated every year, so you will need the latest version, which can be found on the SDE Federal Programs website. Finally, the 21st Century Quick Reference Sheet to ensure proper coding specifically for 21st Century, as well as the federal and state guidance, which can all be found on our 21st Century website on the side menu bar under Grant Guidance and Grantee Resources. Please note the timelines and plan accordingly. For instance, your budget is due 2 weeks after budgets open, and your first claim should be submitted by November 1st. So planning and submitting both your budget and the first claim should be a priority during this time. Since the 21st Century is a reimbursable grant, you should commit to filing monthly claims for your district or organization. Oklahoma uses the Grants Management System, or GMS, and all school districts and organizations will utilize GMS to submit your budget, your claims, and to upload supporting documentation. The authorized official is the person granted specific rights by the local Board of Education that has the authority to bind the local education agency. The authorized official is usually the superintendent or the authorized official of a community-based organization. Your authorized official will have the ability to assign different individuals in your program either full access or view-only access for the grant application, the budget, and the claims. For example, the program director of a 21st Century program may be given view-only access to the original grant application and to claims in order for them to facilitate planning and to implement services at their level. Expenditures must be reasonable, necessary, allocable, and properly documented while having the cost be directly linked to the size and scope of your program. Please consult grant guidance for specific allowables and non-allowables. Grant guidance should be followed regarding pre-approval from the 21st Century office prior to purchasing any single item exceeding $1,000 or any total amount exceeding $2,500, as well as if there are any shared costs. We will quickly walk through the main codes and what items you should input to have a nice, fully detailed description in the description boxes. Every 21st Century program should have the student attendance drive the amount of staff needed. Salary and benefits of all staff in a typical program usually is a minimum of 60 to 75% of the annual allocation. If you find you are not using that level of pay in your budget, we encourage you to perform a needs assessment, and maybe your program could offer something that will draw higher attendance if needed. Or, if your student-staff ratio is high, you might consider adding more after-school staff. In the description boxes of all 100s, be very descriptive of all of the staff salaries needed and include the names of the personnel if known. These descriptions should be documented with a simple formula showing the number of staff multiplied by the total hours needed to be worked, multiplied by the hourly rate of pay. This detail should be included for certified and non-certified employees who are instructors, custodians, bus drivers, or administrators. Everyone paid with 21st Century funds will need to keep time and effort, particularly the person who works on claims or serves students directly after school. The program director position may be split between two co-directors, but the codes remain the same and both will need to keep time and effort. Again, having an outline for your year will assist you in planning for any contracted services you will need for the coming year. External assessors are required only for second and third year grantees. It is suggested you budget $500 per site for the year. While the contracted external assessors are coded as 2544-300, the more specific OCAS bold code you will use is 2544-320. There are two main ways to consider staff travel. The first way is out-of-state trips, which require the staff to be in overnight status. We encourage to have at least 2 of the lead program staff from each program to attend a national conference each year. A list of approved after-school specific national conferences can be found on the 21st Century website to assist you in determining which conferences to attend. Not only can you find out more about the conferences, but you should find any registration fees listed, which will be coded to either $2213-800 for instructional staff coded in the 1000s, or the registration fees will be coded to $2573-800 for any other 21st Century personnel who is not instructional staff coded in the 1000s. Other travel expenses beyond the registration fee are coded to $2213-500 for instructional staff who are coded in 1000s, or $2573-500 for any other 21st Century personnel. The second way to consider staff travel is for in-state day-only meetings. Any meal expenses for this type of staff travel are reimbursed under payroll as per IRS requirements. In addition, local mileage for a program director or site coordinator when they are performing activities related to development and preparation of program activities may have their mileage reimbursed using $2212-500. Items for both 600 and 700s could be hands-on or project-based instructional materials and manipulatives, or technical items or software, including annual software subscriptions. Determining whether an item should be coded as program supplies, which is coded as 600, or as an equipment expense, which is coded as 700, can be determined by the cost of the items. If each single item is under $5,000, it will be a 600 code for program supplies. If a single item is $5,000 or more and has a lifespan greater than 1 year, it will be a 700 code for equipment. Items purchased in bulk that have unit prices over $5,000 should be budgeted to 700. These are typical items like technology or very large STEM or activity kits. With both codes, be as detailed as possible when writing your descriptions for both 600s and 700s, and refer to grant guidance for allowable and non-allowable items. For example, state guidance does not allow 21st Century funds to be used to purchase furniture, decorative items, or religious items, as well as wiring or installation costs. We understand that some items are often used both during the school day and in your 21st Century program. Any items that are used in this way must be a shared cost. Note in detail the breakdown of the shared cost in your budget description, such as 50% federal program, or 70% school district to 30% 21st Century. Or it could be noted in dollar amounts that include the specific amounts that will be paid from the different funds. Again, please comply with grant guidance by seeking pre-approval from the 21st Century office prior to purchasing any single item exceeding $1,000, any total amount exceeding $2,500, or any shared cost items. As for student transportation, our state and federal guidance states 21st Century programs must have a plan of how students will travel safely to and from the program and their home. This often results in after-school bus routes. 21st Century funds can only be reimbursed for bus driver salaries and benefits and fuel, not mileage. Claiming bus fuel on a monthly basis as you submit your monthly claims is highly encouraged, rather than claiming all of it at the end of the year. This simple fuel calculation formula will give you the actual fuel used. Using this formula to plan your budget will provide you with an estimate. Overestimating just a little in your budget will leave a little cushion for unplanned field trips or higher gas prices. Evaluation materials, also known as box sets, are also a requirement for each 21st Century program to purchase every year. Your program must purchase a separate box set for each site. Sites are determined by the county district codes listed in your grant application. Please be sure you purchase the appropriately aged box set for each site. The youth box set assesses programs that serve 4th to 12th grade students, and the school age box set assesses programs that serve kindergarten to 6th grade students. Choose the set that best suits the majority of the students your program serves. Your program should expect to budget $500 per site for box sets. First-year grantees spend $300 per year per site, while 2nd through 5th year grantees spend $200 per site. Box sets are coded as 2544-614. Student entrance fees or registrations are coded both to 1,800. Please note the difference in bold codes of 810 and 860. School districts or organizations may choose to take indirect costs. Indirect costs are coded as 5,400-970 and may cover costs already calculated and within your budget. If your program chooses to take indirect costs, the system will automatically not allow you to go over the set amount your program may take. A program that chooses to use indirect costs may not also use the code 2330. The indirect costs may be used to cover personnel who are doing claims or payroll, as they do support the program, or they may use the code 2330 for such personnel. Whichever coding is used, either 2330 or indirect costs, because a program cannot use both codes, it is an either-or case, the amount in either 2330 or indirect costs cannot exceed more than 15% of your budget. Your other line items and codes have more flexibility. Other line items and codes other than indirect costs and 2330 have a 25% variance for you. This allows you to not have to do a budget amendment if you go over the amounts in your budget for up to 25% of the amount you have in your budget. The system is set to automatically not allow you to go over that 25%. Other common codes are for advertisement for employee positions and employee background checks. Background checks are very important for the safety of all 21st Century Community Learning Centers students and staff. Any staff or volunteers not previously cleared by a background check through the school or organization must have a background check completed. Background checks are reimbursable using the 2571-800 code, specifically 810. Now that you have your year planned out and all of your fiscal year budget items estimated, you are ready to create your new budget in GMS. A couple of things to keep in mind while in GMS will prevent errors and being kicked out of the system are to turn off all pop-up blockers. Never use the back button on your internet browser. There are navigations within GMS that are usually found on the top right corner. Click once and move slowly through the system. Sometimes the system needs a moment to process what you just clicked. Do not double-click or continuously click on the same item. Just like all other federal programs, 21st Century uses the single sign-on system to access the grants management system. You can use your normal district login to get into the single sign-on. If you're a community-based organization, you will need to obtain new credentials through our office to gain access. Once you're in single sign-on, click on the Grants Management and Expenditure Reporting section. Once in GMS, click on GMS Access Select. This is your program's main page where you will see 21st Century listed. If you are a returning grantee, you will see your budget and claims from this last fiscal year. If you are a new grantee, this screen will mostly be empty at first. Either way, you will want to verify you are in the current fiscal year at the top left. Scroll down to be within the Available section and then click on the Create button. This will take you to your new budget that contains navigation tabs at the top. At this point, you need to be aware of the GMS tips we stated earlier about not using your browser's back button. If you need to return to the original menu, you will need to use the tiny links at the top right corner of your screen, such as Return to Menu List. The first navigation tab to fill out is the contact information. Please remember to be detailed as you create your budget. There are 3 additional navigation tabs under the Budget tab. The first tab, the Allocations tab, will fill in automatically once you complete the next Budget tab. After you've submitted your budget and it has been accepted, you may access all of the budget information, including your allocation for the year and any carryover you might have. Click on the Budget Detail tab to the right of Allocations. This is where you will begin filling in your budget. Again, your original grant application should be used to fill out your budget with the function and object codes the detailed description, and the amounts for each code. These are a few small examples of salary details we like to see. If you know the names of staff, please include them in your detailed description and list specific details for any contracted services, travel registrations and expenses, basic supplies, expected large expenditures for technology, and educational field trip entry fees. Your dollar amounts will also need to be included for each set of codes. After you have filled in 3 rows, click on Save Page. Make sure you save your page often as you fill out your budget. Detailed descriptions will expedite the budget approval process as well as assist with future claims. Descriptions should be detailed in order to show the main focus of your program is being followed, what kind of expenditures to look for, and approximately how much you plan to spend on items. If larger expenditures are not detailed specifically in this description box, they may be questioned when they later appear on a claim and may lead to expenditures or a claim being denied. For instance, a program just states fitness supplies in their budget and later purchased large exercise equipment. Although fitness supplies are in the budget, none of the items listed were indicative of exercise machines specifically. Oftentimes, the 21st Century office will contact the district during budget approvals to gain more clarity on certain items. This prevents the need for budget amendments later in the year and avoids miscommunication about budget and expenditure approvals. For instance, if a program stated family night expenses, we may double-check that the amount doesn't budget for food or incentives, which are not allowable under 21st Century guidance. Once you are finished, click on Calculate Totals and then Save Page. The Budget Summary tab will automatically fill in as you complete your budget. The DUNS Number tab will need to have the information entered, a file uploaded, and then click on Save Page. In Assurances, there are 4 separate assurance tabs to complete. Your authorized official will have to click to complete these assurance tabs. These tabs are the legal agreements that bind your institution to the terms of your grant. Only the authorized official has the legal authority to click these boxes, which serves as their signature. There is 1 box on each page of the assurances that must be clicked before submitting your budget. On the last Assurance tab, the date will automatically be filled in when the legal entity agrees is clicked. Once you have completed all other tabs, the consistency check will need to be completed before it is submitted. Congratulations! You have reached your final step in submitting your budget to OSDE. You may return to the Application Select page in the GMS to find your information under 21st Century. From here, you may click on Payments to begin a claim, or if a budget amendment is necessary throughout the fiscal year, click on Amend to begin a budget amendment. Further information may be found at the 21st Century website as well as contained in the OCAS manual on the SDE website. Thank you for watching this budget webinar, and I hope this has been helpful in completing your budget. If you have more questions, please contact us at area code 405-522-6225. Thank you and have a wonderful day.